All right, it is Double Dutch Sunday. Let's do a podcast. All right, normally when I have a guest on, I try to do a very brief intro and then just bring the guest in and start asking questions. But today, this guy's got an incredible resume, so I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights, and then we'll bring him in and talk all about his success. So, 2 junior world all-around championships, 3 world all-around championship gold, 2 world all-around championship silver, 7 single distance medals, including 3 golds, 3 silvers in the Olympics, 1 bronze in the Olympics, and so many other medals on the World Cup scene and Euros and national championships. I did not want to take the time to count them. So all the way from the Netherlands, let's welcome Patrick Roost. Look at that.
Hello.
Good afternoon. So I think the last text I sent you was go win everything at Euros, and you managed to win the 5K and the 10K, but only a bronze in the 1500.
The 1500 is always difficult for me to win. I never won international golden medal on the 1500 meter. I'm always trying, and I was very close, but Peter
Yeah.
Kongshout was just a little bit faster.
So we're gonna take a look at a little bit of that race, and we're gonna talk a lot about how you skated 1500 versus the rest of the guys later in this segment. But I thought that was a good place to start. And actually, before we dive into some of the your history and your growth and development through the sport, I asked Henrik Dombeck this question. So, as a Dutch skater. And you can be honest here. How much does Euros mean to you guys?
Uh, well, the Euros all round normally means more to me than the Euros distance
Okay.
because the history is bigger. So this competition is not very old. It's like 4 years old. And we had the nationals very close on it, so we tried to prepare as good as possible for nationals because that's what the rest of the season depends on. And then
Yeah.
this Europeans, it was very nice because it was in Tialf and there was a lot of Dutch audience. But yeah, it's not the most important race of the season.
Yeah. Understood. And that brings up another point that I talk about on this channel quite often is how I don't understand how the calendar gets built in any given season, whether it's, what is the construct of the Euros this year? Or are we having distance championships and an all around, and then in an Olympic season, you can finish the Olympics and turn around and go to a world all around 10 minutes later. It's always strange to me, but let's let's go back to the very beginning. So you were born in Lekkerkerk, which is in the southern part of the Netherlands near Rotterdam, on a farm, and your sister was the first one to put skates on, and then you followed. Is that how it went down?
Yeah, that's correct. My sister started skating, and well, I always went with her to the track, watched some races, and yeah, that's where I actually started liking the sport and wanted to do it myself. And yeah, we have a very nice club in our town and the towns around us. It's like a small family, and yeah, I think that helped me a lot to just start to like skating. I never thought like, oh, I'm gonna do it professionally. I'm gonna go to the highest level. I just did it because I enjoyed it and I made my friends there.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because a number of the people that I've talked to would say things like, when I was 5 years old, I watched the Olympics and this guy inspired me or that girl inspired me. What was skating at the highest level something you were even aware of back then?
I was watching it at home with my parents because we always enjoyed watching skating, but I was never thinking like I am gonna be there as well. I did skating because, well, I enjoy the sport and I enjoyed doing it with my friends. That's what I like the most. But yeah, of course, I was looking up to some guys that I saw on the TV, and yeah, you think about them as well when you skate yourself on the track.
Yeah. So when you joined the club, do you remember who was coaching you then? And do you, I guess, part two, Do you kind of have a sense of when you started to realize that, hey, I'm pretty good at this and maybe I can do some competitions?
Yeah, maybe the coaches of the club already saw a bit of talent in me then. The guys I was training with were a little bit older than me because, well, I could follow them well. But yeah, they saw I had talent, but they didn't make it all about that and make it all about, yeah, the results on the track. They just to try to make skating as enjoyable as possible for me. And I think that's when the results starting to get better as well, because I think as a child you should not focus too much on the results, but you just have to start falling in love with the sport.
Yeah. And you said that, so what was your local track?
Well, I grew up, as you said, in Lekkerkerk. It's near Rotterdam, and our local track was pretty far away. It's in Den Haag, because
Oh,
yeah, our town doesn't have a track closer than us, so it was always like almost an hour driving to the track. So it was a pretty long way.
okay. So you weren't probably at the track every single day. I'm not that familiar with that track. Was that an outdoor track?
It's half. So the middle is open and above the track is closed. So when it's raining, you can still skate nicely, but it's not completely closed.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's where you probably went to the line as for the first time you ever did time trials, and so and so at that time you're maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, I don't even remember when I did my first race, but yeah, probably 10, 11 years old. I remember it was at the end of the season. There's always our club race. So yeah, that's where you can win the club competition.
Gotcha.
And yeah, there I did my first race because then the young guys can go to the line for the first time, and that's also when I started racing.
So when did you discover that you were probably more of an endurance athlete instead of a sprinter?
I think that came later because when you're young, you're only doing 500 and
Yeah.
max 1000 meter. When you get older, you do 1500. And yeah, my 500 meters were always all right. And yeah, that's why I'm also an all round skater. I'm not really a long distance skater. I enjoy doing everything. But yeah, when I was junior, you start skating your first 3Ks and 5Ks. And yeah, then you could see that that was maybe my yeah stronger point. And yeah, when I was younger, I always thought the 1500 meter would be my best distance, and I never thought of me as a 10K skater. But that changed when I became a senior.
Yeah, for sure. So as you did junior worlds in 2014 and 2015. And at that point, I mean, I have you down as being born in 1995. So by the time you did Junior Worlds, you were a much older teenager, almost in your 20s. Was Junior Worlds a big deal just to make it? Is it? I mean, I assume it's very tough to just to qualify out of the Netherlands to get to Worlds. Is that true?
Yeah, the level in the Netherlands is always very high because there's just like many skaters, and with the junior nationals, you qualify for the worlds for juniors as well. And yeah, you have to be on your best. But when I was, yeah, we call it A junior, then I started to realize that I could, yeah, maybe make more of my skating career. I started getting better and better and on a higher level. You skate against the other best skaters of the world, and yeah, you skate on podiums, and then you start to realize that, yeah, you want more of that.
Gotcha. So, did you try to qualify for Worlds prior to that and not be successful?
In the Netherlands, when I was that age, you were only allowed to skate junior world championships when you were junior A. So when I
Oh,
was junior
okay.
B, I was not even allowed to try and qualify for it. So I had 2 years I could race it, and I did it in both years.
Okay, because we've got some Americans that went to like 4 or 5 of them because we don't have we don't have nearly as
Huh.
many skaters, and we talk about that on this channel a lot as well. So, Junior Worlds 2014, you were in Norway. 2015 in Poland. And I made a note here in 2015 in Warsaw, you set the track record in the 1500. Do you remember that?
I don't even remember it. I remember I won the 1500 meter, but I didn't know it was a track record
It was
actually.
a track record. So
Nice.
yeah, I don't know if it still stands, but that's a pretty cool accomplishment. What else do you remember from those junior worlds? Was that a big deal to you? Was it interesting to meet some of the skaters from other parts of the world?
Yeah, I always enjoyed it. Of course, you wanted to do your best, and you wanted to have nice results. But it was also nice seeing the other guys, the other best skaters of the world. It's always nice talking with them, just hanging out with them, and I always enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, for me, it was definitely good races as well. I enjoyed to race in Warsaw. It's a track where I was never before, and after that, I was never racing there anymore. But it was nice to skate, on the outside track there in the middle of the city.
Well, you left your mark apparently. So at least for some period of time, it was a track record. We'll go back and check that one and see if it
Yeah.
still stands. So what I found interesting is after those 2 seasons of doing junior worlds, when you left that, when did you become a senior skater on a top team? And I assume that first top team was Yumbo.
Yeah, that's correct. After my junior days, I directly went to Jumbo. So my first year as senior, I started skating with Jumbo.
Okay. And what I found interesting is it looked like you didn't compete in a lot of World Cups. I assume you were qualified, but you just weren't going to many of them. Was there a reason for that?
No, I in my first year and maybe also my second year, I didn't qualify for many races. A lot of the times I was there, but I was a reserve skater, so I was there to train with the team, but I was never allowed to skate. And it is difficult when you're used to race everything as a junior, all the junior races, and then you become senior, and yeah, you cannot race as much as you want to.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm happy that changed later.
So so I understand that, but then you qualified for World All Around in 2017 and 2018 and 19, etc. So in 2017 you qualified for World All Around somehow and you finished second.
Yeah,
So I'm not computing it. It's like you're not skating a lot of World Cups. You're kind of a reserve skater, but somehow you make it to World All Arounds and then you do super good. So how did that happen?
yeah, yeah. All round has always been my strongest point. I can do a good 500 meter, and my 10K is not too bad as well. And yeah, I remember that because my first Worlds All Rounds was in Hamar, and I skated a personal best on every distance. So that's really when I started to get better and started showing more of my level. But that was definitely a nice tournament to do a personal best on every distance I started on.
Especially at sea level. So I mean that had to be a moment for you where that had to be kind of a life changer for you where you show up and you do the best you can possibly do and it launches you to the front of the pack. I mean that I'm sure that was a moment you remember.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was the first time skating against guys like Harvard Bucko, Sverre Lune Pedersen, Jan Blokhuizen, and also Sven Kramer, of course. So yeah, for me, it was really a big step to compete with those guys and also to beat some of them.
Do you think people took you seriously at that time? And let me explain why I
Uh,
asked that. Let me explain. So let's be honest. Some of the Dutch skaters have big personalities. They're, we'll say self confident. They like the limelight. They're big personalities. And you appear to me like a guy who is just comfortable in your own skin and not a big self promoter. So when you showed up in Hamar, do you think they felt like you had a chance?
yeah, maybe not. Maybe yeah, you should ask the other guys. But
Of
yeah, I
course.
was I was already happy to be there, and I also didn't know that I could or how well I could compete with those guys. So yeah, of course, I didn't went into the competition saying I would be on the podium, but I just tried to show my best, and I'm happy that I could do that at that moment, and yeah, that was my first all round, and I never left.
Well, I had another question written down that I was going to ask later, but I want to ask it now. And it's interesting to me because I think most people, if I just go ask my friends, like, who is Patrick Roost? They would be like, oh, he's that 5K guy. He's that distance guy, right? But you skate some really badass 1500s, but you've mentioned now several times that you skate a good 500. So when we look at all of your PBs, 500 all the way to 10K, can you tell me which one you're most proud of?
The one that I think it's the both opposite, because the one I least expected was the 12:35. I never imagined going that fast on a 10K, so I'm very happy with that, and it's the national record right now, and I never expected to do that. And also the 500 meter, because for me skating below 36 was just amazing, and the opener I did then, yeah, I just enjoy sprinting as well. I'm not the best sprinter, but for an all-round guy, I can do it pretty well. And yeah, I just enjoy doing it, and I still enjoy it.
What was your opener?
It was a 10:06.
10-0.
Yeah, so that was some fun.
Wow. Have you come anywhere near that since?
No, my best, or I only did 500 meter once this year, and I did a 10:2, so I was
Oh,
already happy with that. So if you see my 1500 meters, I know I should be able to open a little bit faster, but yeah, it's not working out so far. But the left times are all right.
10-0. I mean, I don't want to insult you, but that I can't believe that you've gone 10-0. That's incredible. So, and because you are so good from front to back, you are currently, near as I can tell, you are number one in history in the Adels calendar.
That's right.
So, I think almost everybody else on that list right now is no longer skating. So, as you come forward with more PBs here, maybe coming up this year, because you're going to get a crack at it in Salt Lake. You're just going to keep making that number better. Do you ever think about that? Does that blow your mind?
No, I really like to be on top of that list, because it's a list of all the skaters ever competed in all those distances. And yeah, if you see how long Shawnee Davis was on top of the list, it was really cool to beat that. And there are not many skaters on the list right now who are still skating, but well, Jordan is getting there, and I think when there is someone who has to beat me on that right now, it's Jordan for sure.
Yeah, he just keeps surprising us every time he gets on the
Yeah.
ice. Um, let's look at some other things that have happened. So you've had that success with the World All Arounds, and then we get to the 2018 Olympics, which was interesting to me because the Dutch qualifiers are always pressure packed and there's so much competition and you don't know what's going to happen. So you qualified for the 1500, but you did not qualify for the 5K or the 10K, but you were part of the team pursuit. But you showed up, and to me, you made the very most because once again, you skated a PR in the 1500 and you finished second. Is that correct?
Yeah, second on the 1500 meter and third on the team pursuit.
Yeah, that's incredible. Are you just the biggest game time player of all time?
Uh, yeah, or I don't know if I could have done better there, but it was a difficult season because at the start of the winter I broke my arm, and it was difficult competing at the start, and I also didn't compete in any World Cups, only one before the Olympics. So it was a difficult start of the season, and for me it was just very surprising to be on the podium at the Olympics because I definitely didn't expect that on the 1500 meter.
So, because of the fact that you hadn't skated in much, were you an early pair?
Yeah, I was in the second pair, so
Okay.
for me it was a long time waiting to see what the rest of the guys would do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
to show up at an Olympics not having skated a lot and then PB at low altitude is that's really awesome.
no, for
Um,
me, I think that's my best memory at any Olympics because I did the 1500 meter there, second pair, and there was a ice preparation in between as well. And after the race, I went just sit with my family, with my parents, my brother, and my sister, and just watch the rest of the races because I had nothing else to do. And yeah, for me, it was very unexpected that I ended up on the podium as well. So for me, it was really nice to yeah see that together with my family.
well, and it's a rare scene because I remember watching some of the highlights and when the last pair finally finishes and you've won a medal, you're in the stands,
Yeah, true. Yeah.
which you don't see that too often in speed skating. Yeah, that was such a cool memory. So then let's fast forward to the 2022 games. And there's two main subjects that we can talk about here. Let's start with the first one, though. A very confusing moment. You qualified for 5K, 10K. You finished fourth at Dutch qualifiers in the 1500, and you were also part of the team pursuit team. And they chose not to go with you in the 1500, but Marcel Bosker, who finished below you. So, do you remember that whole situation, and did you understand why they did what they did, and do you have any issues with it?
Yeah, I was not too happy about it because I didn't do I didn't do good enough on the qualification race. But yeah, I still think I could have done well at the Olympics, and I really wanted to skate the 1500 there. But yeah, they didn't choose me, so yeah, I had nothing to say. I should have ended up top three in the qualification race, and I didn't do that. But yeah, I was sad that I didn't race it at the Olympics.
So, nobody offered you an explanation, like maybe because of how the schedule laid out, because of your commitment to the team pursuit or the 5K, 10K, they didn't feel like you would be best there? Or is it, or did nobody
Uh,
offer you an explanation?
well, the explanation was because Sven raced the Mastart, and they said that everybody who skate team pursuit also has to skate a single distance. And well, Marshall had to skate something, so they put it Marshall on the 1500 meter.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, at least you got an explanation. So, the other
Yeah.
big topic from the 22 Olympics is obvious, and that is Nils Vanderpool. Um, so, you skated, I thought you skated fantastic. Your 5K, your 10K were both incredibly good. You finished silver in both. The 5K was particularly gut wrenching because you had finished, you put up a great time. Nils was behind you the entire way until the last lap, and he put down a great last lap and he got you by a few tenths. Um, I don't know what question I want to ask you. Like, did you feel like you could have done better? Did you feel like the guy's superhuman and this is all I have? Are you happy with how you skated?
The 5K I was happy with. Maybe I my last lap was not the best, but that's also because I gave everything. I had to set the time, and I went all out, and it was definitely not a bad time. But yeah, Niels at the time he was just so strong, and you saw it on the 10K as well with the world record. Like the guy was almost impossible to beat, and I tried my best. I gave everything. Also on the 10K, it was one of my best 10Ks ever, and I just have to be happy with the results I did, and yeah, I tried to show my best, and I would have liked to beat him there, but yeah, it didn't happen.
So, Nils is an interesting cat. I mean, he was a good junior. He came on the scene. He was there for a cup of coffee. He left. He came back for 10 minutes, won everything and then disappeared. Um, do you remember where you were when you found out that he was gonna leave the sport again? And how did you feel when you
Uh,
heard that?
yeah, he kept saying it, but I actually always said to him like, "Oh, I don't believe it. You're not gonna leave already," because I couldn't believe it because he was doing so well, and well, I just enjoy skating, so I can't imagine like after winning those kind of races that I would just think I quit. But yeah, he also had his operation, and yeah, his body was maybe tired, so it's also understandable for him that he yeah took a step back.
Well, and then he took the time to publish that manifesto about how to train and just shoved it out on the internet for everybody to see. Do you remember when you heard about that? Did you go look at it right away and read it cover to cover like I did, or have you read it?
No, or I got it on paper from him, but
Oh,
I
really?
gave it to my coach because I think it's definitely interesting what he's doing and how he did it. But I think Niels and I are two completely different skaters. He's really yeah good on 10K, and from the 10K he's skating a good 5K as well. And I'm more of a 1500-meter 5K skater, and from there I skate a good 10K as well. But yeah, I need my speed, and if I train the program Niels did, I think I lose too much of my speed, and I really need that to do the fast times I want to do.
Yeah. Okay. That's a perfect answer. Um, all right. There was something else I wrote down that I thought was really interesting. So 2018-2019 season, in the November World Cup qualifier. So another pressure packed Dutch qualifier. You went 5K PR track record, 10K PR, 1500 PR. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the first time I really yeah maybe showed everybody that I could go to the World Cups and yeah show my level on all those three distances. The years before it was always only 1500, only 5K, and yeah now I showed that I could really do it on both, and yeah that the 10K was not too bad as well.
Yeah, and then you followed up that year with another all around gold. I mean that's just incredible to me. Is so the more I study the sport and talk to guys like you and understand how things work, to me the most pressure packed thing in your life is not the Olympics. It's any Dutch qualifier because the
Yeah, I
competition's
think
incredible. You get one shot, and if you don't do it, I mean, Keldnaus gets inched out and does not end up skating the 1,000 and stuff like that. Just it just freaks me out. I mean, that's got to be so hard for you guys.
yeah Dutch Olympic qualifier. I think it comes with the same pressure as the Olympics because you compete to the guys who can be on the podium at the Olympics, and even if you end up third, you're not completely sure if you will go. So yeah, the pressure is definitely high, and yeah, you have to show your best at that moment as well. But I think that's what make the Dutch strong as well. Like yeah, you know what the feeling is of you have to do everything right now, and it's good that we have that feeling more times a year that you when you do a world championships or when you do a Olympics that yeah you know the feeling, you know the pressure, and yeah you know what you have to do right.
So we've there's been a theme in this discussion today. It's always Patrick shows up and exceeds everybody's expectations, and there's all these great memories. If I ask you to sit here for a second and think about what are some of the big disappointments that you remember? Where did you maybe not skate your best or feel like you didn't deliver?
For more times or more years in a row, I didn't yeah do as well as I wanted to do at the World Champions distance. Very often I went in as favorite on 5K, and yeah, I ended up third, second, or yeah, not on the podium as well. And that was very difficult, and I never really knew the reason as well. People always said like, "Oh, it must be the pressure," and yeah, that you're not competing very well. And I always thought like it's not the pressure, because I feel the pressure at nationals as well, and it's mostly going good. So I was happy that with this year in Tialf I could finally get a gold medal on the 5K, and people will stop talking about that.
Well, let's talk about 5Ks for a moment. So, excuse me. So, I'm a sprinter, and I will race maybe a couple of 1500s a year. Generally not super good, but the question I have is like a couple weeks ago I was doing a 1500. Excuse me, and I went into it, like I thought I was going to do well. And the opener was a little off, and the first lap was really off. And I felt like quitting. Like I'm way off schedule. I'm a sprinter. These last two laps are going to be terrible. Now they're going to be worse. And what it made me think about you is if you're in a 5K and your first couple laps aren't where they want to be and maybe you're not feeling it, like now you still got to do like 8 more laps. How how do you deal with a 5K when it doesn't get off to the start you want?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And if I race a 5K, like I try to like not think, just go for it. Because if you think too much about things, you will feel your legs, you will feel your movement, and that is not all right. And only the first 3 laps, I just try to get in it, and then mostly the lap times will get up a little bit higher, sometimes too high, and then yeah, I just have to push harder. And on a good day it will work, but yeah, when you're having a bad day, you just have to keep going. And yeah, definitely never give up. And yeah, sometimes it's easier said than done, but you just have to try and make it as fast to the finish line as possible. Also on a bad day it will maybe not be as fast as you want it to be, but yeah, you just have to push your hardest you can.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that insight because I don't know, my body physiology, I don't even know if I will ever do a 5K, but I just can't imagine getting into something like that and being a few laps in and realizing, holy shit, I don't have it today. And you still got to do another X laps. At that point, I think I got to fake an injury and pull over. But
It can be a
so
painful time sometimes, but yeah, I enjoy doing the 5K, but that can hurt a lot.
so let's look at a 5K. So oftentimes on this show, I love to pull in video footage, and we're going to do that from a very recent race. So we're going to look at your 5K from Euros. You were with Giotto from Italy, and he went out extremely fast. I mean, he was going over the top of you like on lap 3, I think, but you kind of stayed right in your race. Um, which I guess brings up another question. If you're paired with a guy that goes out really hot, I gotta believe you still have a kind of a lap time in mind that you're trying to stick around. Do you ever find yourself paying too much attention to your pair, or are you just racing your race?
Yeah, sometimes, or definitely in the past, I paid too much attention to it, because you always have a race plan and you have to keep to your plan. And sometimes I forgot about that and just went out and yeah, just go for it. But yeah, then it will hurt you in the end. And yeah, definitely now I learn from that, and I go in with a plan, and I know lap times I have to do. And I know it's not bad when I'm like not exactly on the race plan, but I know what lap times are good for me and what lap times will be bad. So yeah, I like to race, but I have to race smart. And yeah, that's what I definitely did. Also the race with Giotto, he went out really fast, and I would love to go with him at the start, but I know that would have hurted me in the end.
Yeah. Well, we'll pick it up here with about 4 laps to go, and we'll play the clip, and then I'll ask you some questions. But I feel like you played this masterfully, so let's watch this.
Back to a second, which you can see in the bottom right, and Roost has not been beaten yet.
No, he hasn't.
29.3 and 29.1 for Roost. Roost can still win this, as Giotto is known for exploding a little bit in the final few laps sometimes. And Patrick Roost has skated a few phenomenally fast final laps. And the difference between them is getting smaller.
Indeed.
Roost, 28.
Okay. So here's what I think. I think heading to take that next, take your next lap time there, you had seen that you were catching him, and I gotta believe on the straightaway, all you could think about was, okay, I've got to get this draft. Just don't kill myself, but I just got to get there to try to get that draft, and then when you have that next inner and another inner, then you're driving away. Is that kind of what you felt?
Yeah, I just wanted to chase him down on the straight because it's always a good feeling when you're feeling you're faster, you're really chasing him down. And yeah, when you have a straight like that, then or a change, it feels amazing. And yeah, you could also hear in the video with the Dutch crowd the first time your lap time is faster, and you hear the crowd going that loud. You hear it in the race as well, and yeah, it's a really enjoyable way of racing.
Yeah, you stole my next question because, my thought was like, you got a big Italian guy and, legendary Patrick Roost in a packed tee-off, and you're catching him. I mean, that has to just give you wings at that point.
Yeah, it was a difficult race because Giotto started so fast, and well, you don't know if he's gonna stop or just continue doing this fast lap time. So for me, I had to back out of it a little bit and try and catch him in the end. And yeah, if you skate for so much Dutch people, you want to win that race. And when I had the feeling, when I saw Giotto was going to do a 29.3, I thought it's still all to play for, and I just wanted to go for it.
Well, let's see how it finishes. I think we know.
0.5. Roost now again under Item's time and is gaining quick. Gaining very, very quickly. And is now, for the first time since the 1000 meters, ahead of Davide Giotto. Roost 28.5! What a lap time! What a lap time! Absolutely phenomenal. Nearly 2 seconds ahead of Itrem now. Giotto also still ahead of Itrem. Patrick Roost 28.6. Giotto still 29.8. What a race. What a race is
I
this.
think he knows he's beat.
Will this be another 6:05 or 6:06?
Oh, what a great finish.
6:05.93. Davide Giotto 6:08.27. Patrick Roost, European champion, which is the third fastest time ever skated on low altitude. Only he was faster twice.
So you have the 3 fastest 5Ks in history at sea level.
Yeah, that's a good result.
That's incredible. That was masterfully skated. And the announcer said that you were European champion, but we know that there was one more pair. But obviously they didn't challenge you. That was incredible skating. I can't imagine skating a 5K, but it looks like when you do it, it looks like a sprint. I mean, you just look like you are hammering the whole way. I never see this, I don't know. I'm just babbling now, but do you feel like, you mentioned before that the guys are getting faster, so do you feel like you skate the 5Ks a little bit differently than you did early on in your career?
Yeah, I skate different because earlier in my career, I raced a little bit like Giotto did at the Europeans. I would go in full, and yeah, when I had a very good day, I would continue doing it, and I would end up in a 6:08 maybe. But on a bad day, you really crash out bad, and yeah, it hurts a lot. And I think I learned from that and learned to skate a little bit smarter and like more flat lap times.
So we're going to do a little bit more video here, and unfortunately, because of YouTube, I don't get to show as much of this race as I wanted to. But we're going to look at your 1500 final lap from this same event a couple weeks ago. But before we look at that short video clip, I wanted to talk about your splits in that race because I have them written down, and I still can't believe them as I'm reading them. So you open in 24.3, which I think is a decent opener for you. It's not as fast as some of the other guys. And your first lap is a 26.5, which is very different than the sprint guys. But your lap times were 6.5, 6.7, 6.8. I don't know how do you skate 3 laps that are that fast with a 10th drop between each one? How do you do that,
Some,
Patrick?
Sometimes I don't know it myself, but yeah, I think this season I have showed I'm very strong on the 5K. This level is very high, and my start on the 1500 meter hasn't been as good as I wanted, and definitely not the first lap. Also on Europeans, I was happy with my opener. I thought with this I can go every way. And then I saw my first lap was a 26.5, and I know that it's too slow, and I'm trying to be faster. I'm holding back a little bit, also because I'm scared for the change with Wesley. But yeah, maybe I hold back too much because of that, and yeah, maybe because of that I save too much energy. But yeah, 0.3 drop overall over the whole race is
Yeah.
it is not what you normally see on the 1500 meter.
No. So let's look at this final lap because this final 100. I mean, this looks like it could be a 500-meter race. This is just so aggressive. I love this.
Here they come to the last corner, all the way to the finish line. Patrick Roost giving it all. Where she lies. Also it is Patrick Roost.
So yeah, that doesn't look like a guy that just went 1,500 meters, and you can see like Wesley's a really good skater, and I mean he's just dead in the outer, and you are just powering through. That's really fun to watch.
Yeah,
So
it makes the
if
1500. Sorry, it makes the
go ahead.
1500 meter, I think, very interesting if you have yeah, sprinters like Kjeld, Wesley, and yeah, guys like that racing, all rounders like me and Eitram. It brings everybody together, and yeah, you never know what you're gonna get in the results. Definitely when we skate against them, like the last lap is always gonna be very fun to watch.
So you mentioned that. So if I ask you right now, like what are you doing to make your 1,500 better? It's really about the first lap and maybe a little bit of the opener.
Yeah, that's the most important. But my focus is all on 5K, and I think when I'm doing that everything right on the 5K, I can do a very good 1500 as well, and from there I can also do a very good 10K. But I don't want to focus too much on 1500 meter because I don't want to, yeah, get worse on my 5K. The 5K will always be the most important, and from there out, from those trainings, I will do, or I want to do a good 1500 meter as well.
Well, that's an incredible segue because the next section of questions and information that I'd written down is training. You've done some inline skating. So when we talk about summer, inline, dry land, cycling, weights, do you do any short track?
No, no, I
No?
never do
Okay.
short track.
Okay, so what does training look like? Like how do you become a better 5K skater? Is it more of what you're doing on the ice or is it more of what you do in the summer? Where do you focus to become that better 5K skater that you want to be?
Yeah, well, to start with, you have to put in a lot of hours. For us, it's in the summer, a lot of hours on the bike, and I don't always enjoy it, but I think it's very important for those 5Ks, and definitely because the seasons are pretty long, and you have many races following every weekend. You cannot train a lot anymore, so yeah, it's good to build that very well in the summer. and then on the ice, yeah, it's a lot of laps, a lot of minutes, just skating around. It's not very fun training. It's also not very fast laps. But yeah, for a 5K, it's important that you can sit for many minutes with the knee bend. So
So I guess give me a an example. It's a Tuesday and you're going to do 5K training. Is it like an interval kind of thing, like where you're doing 4 times 10 laps, or what does it look like?
yeah, when we would train for the 5K, it can be two different things. We could do like 1,000 meter, 1,200 meter 5K speed. So it is pretty easy because it's just a small part, but it's just to skate on the technique of a 5K speed, because you can do lap 32, lap 31 times, but the technique will not feel the same as when you do a 5K. And when you race a 5K, you almost have to do everything on 29 low. So it's nice to do this with 1,200 meters. So it won't hurt the legs too much, but you will get the right feeling. And sometimes we do 8 minute or 8 laps or 6 minutes, and then when you just build it down. So you start on laps 31, and then you slowly go down to the lap times where you want to be.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's just fun, and you end up with very fast laps.
And when you do those types of trainings, are you out there solo or are you with a small group?
No, I'm always with my team with Regeborg, and we are with in total 4 all-round skaters, and yeah, we always train together. So
Okay.
I live in Heerenveen, they live in Heerenveen, and every training we do together.
Really? Okay. And when you're, let's say you're doing an 8 lapper, are you switching the leader or is
Yeah,
somebody just pulling?
mostly every 2 laps we change the leader, or sometimes one guy does a little bit more than the other guys. It depends on how everybody is feeling.
Okay. That's interesting. Let's talk about the team a little bit. You were with Jumbo for a long time, and then you switched to the big green one. Um, Somebody approach you? Like, how does that happen in the Netherlands with these big teams?
Yeah, well, I've been 7 years with Jumbo, so for me that was a very long time, and I was ready for something new. And Regeborg approached me with the story that they wanted to start a all-round team. They always been just a team. There never been all-round skaters in it. And for me, that was very interesting because, well, I was looking forward to trying something new, doing new stuff, working with new people. And yeah, this plan Regeborg showed me, looked very interesting and something I was, really ready to try.
Who are the other three guys?
I'm training with Marcel Bosker, Lex Dijkstra, and Remo Slotergraaf.
Gotcha. All right. Here's a question that comes all the way to you from my coach, Dave Cruikshank. So I said, hey, I'm going to spend some time with Patrick. Is there anything that you want to know? And without hesitation, he said, this guy has been on the top of his game for a long time, and you don't see that very often. What I would want to know what he attributes his success to. How is he so consistent? So that's what Dave wants to know.
Yeah, I think for me, the reason I can do good for such a long time is because I'm really enjoying what I can do. I
Hmm.
think with some skaters, sometimes they have the feeling they're missing something. And of course, as a skater, you cannot yet do everything you want to do. But yeah, I enjoy my time on the track, around the people I train with. And yeah, when I put the suit on, when I put the cap on, all I want to do is win and race as fast as I can. So yeah, it's just, I think the enjoyment of skating I have, and yeah, everybody around me understands it as well. My family, my friends, they love to see me race. They always come watch the races. Some of them will go to Calgary as well, and yeah, that just means a lot to me, and yeah, that makes me just enjoy it so much.
Hmm. Good. I like that answer. Um, you kind of answered this before, but if you just kind of close your eyes right now and you want to take yourself back to like the most positive memory you have skating, is it that 1500 at the first Olympics?
Yeah, I think that is for me one of the nicest memories. Definitely because the way I could see the result turn out, I was very happy with that. I was happy with the people I could enjoy that moment with. So that was definitely yeah, one of the nicest memories I have in skating.
Cool. So I guess I kind of asked this one before as well, but when you look at all of the races right now, you mentioned that the 5K is your focus, but is it your favorite?
Uh, I want to say yes, but maybe it's my favorite because it's going that well too. But yeah, from I was young, I also always enjoyed the 1500 meter a lot, and maybe I'm still racing it so much because I like it so much as well. Because sometimes people are saying like, oh, you have to choose a distance, you just have to focus on that and maybe not race too much. But I don't want to drop the 1500 because well, I like it so much, and it's so nice because you race everybody, you race all around skaters, you race sprinters, and yeah, that makes it very enjoyable to do and also to see. So yeah, it's a very hard decision between 1500 and 5K for me.
All right. Well, I have an enormous amount of admiration and I would say envy for guys like you that can skate so good across the whole landscape. I think some of us guys just have a certain lactate profile, and I'm a sprinter, and I just have to kind of accept the fact that that's who I am. But
It's difficult to change.
yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I think there's a certain amount of human physiology that just kind of dictates kind of who we are. And I've also had guys tell me that because I'm still somewhat new to the sport, that there was a time, a few decades ago where you really didn't have sprinters. Like the good skater was a guy that could do everything, and you didn't have this specialization. So in a world where everybody's kind of gone specialized, I think it's kind of cool that there's guys like you that still really embrace the all around and have the ability to skate do a 10-0 opener and then do a really good 10K. That's kind of fun. So let's kind of talk about the future a little bit. So I mentioned in the intro, and I did this kind of on purpose, you had all those successes and gold medals everywhere, but you don't have an Olympic gold medal at this time. So I have to assume that the short-term goal is that you want to get to Italy in 26 and win at least one gold medal. You're nodding your head, so that tells me that yes, I've confirmed.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest goal for now. And for me, it's also like every race I skate now, I want to show my best. Also, when I go to World Championships now or go to World Cup Salt Lake, I want to try my best. I want to improve myself. But yeah, if I have to say what my head goal is, it's the Olympics in Italy for sure.
Yeah. And you were born in 95, so by the time we get to the next Olympic Games, you will technically be a masters skater. Um, so have you thought about beyond 26 yet?
Not yet. For me, I focus on that now, and what I do afterwards, I don't know yet. I always said like I will keep skating as long as I enjoy it, and well, so far I am enjoying it a lot, so I would continue. But yeah, you don't know what changed in those years. But right now, I would say I don't want to stop yet.
Okay, so a lot of the people that I talk to, they're studying exercise physiology and they're already thinking about, hey, I'm going to move into coaching. I want to stay in the sport. When I think of Patrick Roost, I think of this photo. So
Very nice photo.
yeah, so you've been very public about the fact that you've loved growing up on the farm and you still enjoy going back there. Is could we see you on a tractor and working with the dairy cows when you're later in life? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's definitely a dream of me, what I want to do after skating. My dad is running the farm by himself now, and for me, it's also, I have to see how long he can do that by himself. We have a very small family farm, and I want to do it, but yeah, you have to be able to live from it because it's so small. There's also not a lot of money coming in, but yeah, I don't need to have like a big farm. I enjoy the farm as we have it, and as long as I can live from it, I would love to have it that way.
That's cool. All right. So let's look at the rest of the season. You're going to Salt Lake and then Quebec for 2 World Cups and then Calgary for single distances. And
Yeah,
then it's
for me, well, I traveled Thursday to Salt Lake, and as the plan stands now, I would not go to Quebec, but I would train a little bit longer, maybe in Salt Lake, and maybe go earlier to Calgary. But for me, as it stands now, I don't go to Quebec.
okay. All right, that's good to know. So, all right, so it's just going to be altitude for you, single distances, and then there's a little bit of time, and then it's off to Inzel for all around slash sprint, which clearly you're doing the all around. Um, that's in March.
Yeah, that's right. That's the beginning of March.
Okay. And so I've heard. When was the last time you were in Inzel?
I was there last summer. We did summer ice camp in Insel.
Okay. So any concerns about the facility or the ice?
No, as it was then, it was all right. And when with summer ice in Insel, it's mostly very buzzy as well. So the ice always feels fast because there's a lot of wind from skaters going around. But yeah, I think the ice was good back then.
All right, I'm just going to ask you this straight out. You think Stoltz has a chance to challenge you for the all around?
It's difficult to say when he does a 34 low on Insel. He has a big gap on me, and I'm looking forward to this competition. I don't know where he stands. It's his first time doing the all around with the 10K, so it's definitely gonna be a very interesting competition.
Yeah. Well, he's been fun to watch, and I was actually there a couple weeks ago when he did his first ever 10K. And it was I don't know if you were aware of it, but they went 5K on Friday night, 1500 Saturday morning, 10K Saturday afternoon. So in 24 hours, it was 5K, 1500, 10K. And it wasn't just him. A couple of the other guys did all 3 races as well, which I thought was just insane. That was so many laps. But I guess
Yeah,
it's a
that's
little
hard.
bit easier on decently fast ice at altitude than it would be if you were grinding it out in Poland or something. So we'll see what he has to offer by the time we get to March. But it will be very interesting, and the world will be watching. Patrick Roost, this was so much fun to hang out with you. Learned a lot. I wish you the best for the rest of this year, and I wish you the best for 26. I want to see you in Italy with a gold medal, at least one, maybe a couple more. Best of luck at all arounds this year and the rest of the season. Been a great guest. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you as well. It was a pleasure being on here, and see you in Salt Lake.
All right, that's Patrick Roost, and we are out of here.